Merry Christmas, dear friends, dear boys, dear ladies. How you doing out there? Christmas Eve. Larry's not much of a Christmas jazzer, but I threw together a little 10-second arrangement for you there. You know, any good bridge pickup you're ever gonna find on a Gibson has to sound doinky when you play it dead clean, like. If it doesn't do that, then it's not going to give you all the other stuff you want. You gotta be able to doink out. Then you just add to the doink. You see, you take that step one, and then you just add to it, right? So, man, so much to talk about today. I won't get rolling, so I don't get too long-winded. Let's see. Episode 267. That's a cool number. Forgive me for playing the Goldie in 2 videos in a row. We're in that young love phase, you know, that early romance phase, before you start, complaining about the way the other one brushes their teeth, or complaining about the way the other one raises the kids, or anything like that. We're in that young love phase. There will be problems down the road, but right now it's just like, it's all romance, It usually takes me a week or two to really, get back down to earth with a purchase. I don't know how you guys are. It's a nice thing to be able to take an instrument home for a night before you buy it. If you can ever talk one of your friends into letting you do that, that's a pretty good feeling, because if you still like it the next morning, you're onto something before you've paid for it, you see? This one's just growing on me. I mean, this guitar's got some magic in it. And people say, you're gonna sell the burst now? No, man, no, that's not the point of this. These are completely different guitars. They have a very different sound. I was talking with a buddy of mine last night who fortunately has many of these guitars and bursts. And he was saying that they're all completely different acoustically and electrically. The gold tops don't sound any inherently different, as a rule than flame tops in all, in ways. There's no math or like reasoning to it all. It's all just different wood, different guitars are going to be different, But I hope you guys are having a great Christmas time. And like I said in that last video description, I hope you're not fighting with your relatives too much. Christmas can be rough in that regard. Thanksgiving can too, when you're battling with relatives and, oh Lord, the in-laws and all that stuff. But just try to keep your chin up, people. Don't let it get you down. It's only castles burning. Did you watch that game last night? So what the fuck is with the NFL putting the games on these different channels? It's like, I liked it better when DirecTV had all the games. It's like last night, if you wanted to watch that game, you had to fucking sign up for Peacock. I mean, what a scam. I mean, 30 million people signed up for the monthly subscription to Peacock just so they could watch that game. I wonder how many of them bothered to cancel that subscription this morning. Probably not many, because it's such a pain in the ass. They put up all the red tape, make it hard for you to cancel. It's like, what a scam. Come on, man. I liked it better in the old days when you could turn on ABC and NBC and watch the game with shitty graphics. What's with all this network posturing? Okay, but can you imagine whoever dreamed that up, how much fucking money they made last night on the Peacock scam? Lord, like nobody's ever gonna watch that channel for any other reason besides that game, right? All right, enough of that. Let's see. One guy said, you sound like Tom Waits when you sing. Well, I wish, man. I can't sing for shit. I appreciate you guys putting up with my occasional caterwauling. Tom Waits is cool. Although I like Tom Waits a bit better when he actually tried to hit notes in the early days. Do you remember that? Before his voice just became white noise and there was no note. He actually sang back on the early stuff, you know, Closing Time record and all that stuff. But you know, that's cool. I like Tom Waits. I'm not like a super fan or anything, but I put Tom Waits in the same drawer as I put Bukowski. Tom Waits is something that a guy in his 20s will discover when he wants to get worldly and depressed. And then when you get a little older, you kind of forget about all that and you don't want to be depressed anymore. You want to listen to stuff that's uplifting, you know, like Delta Lady by Joe Cocker, 1970 Mad Dogs and Englishmen live thing. That'll get you going. If that doesn't get your fucking blood pumping, nothing will, people. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff in the VCB today. I'm going to tell you one more thing. I'm not trying to turn this into a garage sale or anything, but my dear oldest son, he lucked into, through a couple of his dad's connections, he lucked into his dream guitar, which is an old SG, for very reasonable. A dear friend of ours came over with a chopped old SG for very reasonable, and Marshall took one look at it, and he was like, holy shit, Dad, can we get that? So he is going to sell his SG, and it's not expensive or anything. It's just a new SG. I don't know what year it is. It's like 2001 or 2011. I don't even know how to read these anymore. But it's cool. It suffers from new Gibsonitis, which it's very heavy, and it's got that sticky back in the neck thing, you know. But for real cheap, let's say $1,500 local sale, you could have this guitar in a hard shell case, and it would be for a good cause, to raise money to get his dream guitar. And so you can hear it real quick. Let me plug it in for you. I'll crunch it up with some ACDC. ACDC is his favorite. He loves ACDC. That's why he loves SG so much. And since they were embryos, we'd be driving in the car, listening to old AC/DC, and I would just yell into the back seat, "Boys, that's what an electric guitar is supposed to sound like." And they'd be, "Okay, Dad." Like the intro to Overdose or something like that, I would say, "Boys, that's what an electric guitar is supposed to sound like." And they got it in their heads now. So here's that guitar. Tell you a story about a woman I know. When it comes to loving, she steals the show. Ain't exactly pretty, ain't exactly small. 42, 39, 56. Okay, so there's that. And if you want to compare that to like the old 57 Gold Top to see what that sounds like, just so we know. Here's that same riff on this guitar. Okay. Wow. Okay, so not to be a dick, not to talk shit. When people talk about the difference between these guitars, these old guitars and these new guitars, what I end up thinking is like, the newer guitars sound like digital models of old guitars. They have none of the blood and guts that a real old guitar has. They just don't. They sound like very safe compared to these old ones. And I never could figure out why or what causes that. But you just heard it just there. It's just mind-numbing. Like, what the hell's going on with that? Like when I rent these new Gibsons and stuff for backline and stuff on gigs, they're fine guitars. They play fine, but they just sound like models of guitars. I don't know, man. I never could explain it. Maybe that's why people pay so much money for these old ones. Maybe there is some craziness about the old wood and stuff they use on these guitars. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it is real. When I was doing that record with the Cliffs, you know, those kids, you know, they're young kids. They're 21 years old. They have all these guitars they play, new guitars and things that they can afford, and it's great. But when I busted out some of these old guitars, I brought the old Bird and the old 335, and they were just like, dude, like, what is it about these things? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about these things. But I'm not the only one that notices it. These young kids feel it too. They're good guitar players, and they were like, as soon as the dude Seth plugged in that Firebird, he was like, dude, what the fuck? He's got 2 new Firebirds sitting there. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to go off talking about that. This is a very, you'd say, polarizing, controversial subject, and it's been beaten to death. And I don't want to keep beating it anymore. But that's the last I'm going to say about that. You guys know where I stand on all this shit. I'm just going to say one last time, the old guitar thing is not a myth. One guy said one time, you're buying these old guitars so you can relive your youth. It's like, this shit was around long before I was a youth. I found it later in life because I'm looking for the best instruments, you know? So anyway, there's that. Oh, and let me get back to talking about music with the kids. We had a pretty pivotal moment the other night driving the car. Because, you know, I'm always playing the music. My youngest, who's a keyboard player, he's pretty picky about music. And I played him the live version of Edgar Winter Frankenstein with Rick Derringer playing guitar. And it's like he saw a ghost. He was like, what's the name of that group? And I'm like, it's the Edgar Winter Group. He said, what? He's what? I said, Edgar Winter Group. He's like, that's unbelievable. He's like, he said to Marshall, see, Marshall, I knew keyboards could rock. He's been waiting for that his whole life to find that. It's like he found the music that he's been looking for. Amazing. Because he's always talked about playing guitar and stuff and wanting to be like a guitar player playing keyboards, but he never saw anybody really do it. And then he saw that video and he was just like, holy shit. It's amazing. I'm going to post a link to it. I'm sure 99% of you have already seen it, but if you haven't seen it, come on, man. You got to give it up for Edgar Winter. I mean, what a talent. Holy shit. He wrote that. He did all that shit live with that ARP 2600. I mean, come on. All right. Enough of that. Let's keep moving. The guy said, if you want that SG, just hit me up. I'll give you a Trip to Witch record with it and make you feel better. I'll meet you somewhere in some mysterious, scary parking lot, because I don't mind doing that. Let's see. One guy said, there's a comment I wanted to read that really moved me. I thought it was very sweet. Let's see if I can find it here. Scroll on down. One guy said, and Dannyism is his name. He said, Uncle Larry, here's a bit of strange worlds colliding. I was at a party where Wynton Marsalis was talking with a young guitar player, and he asked the young man if he listened to Tom Bukovac on YouTube. Paraphrasing what he said, quote, you should watch every video because that's a musician right there. Get on that. I freaked out. Super curious how, if you know Wynton. Either way, he's a fan apparently. Man, that means a lot to me. I mean, I don't know Wynton. I've never met him, but I've always been a fan. But wow, real musicians watch this show? Amazing. But that makes me feel good. I appreciate that. You know, imagine some punk kid from Cleveland who, you know, grew up watching Culture Club videos on MTV. Yeah, so one guy said, another funny comment. If you got the Peter Gabriel gig, would you do the dance moves? You know, I've talked about that with my friend Rob McNally. We joked about that. He actually asked me that in the text. He said, if you got the Gabriel gig, would you do the dance moves? You know, I always thought choreography on gigs is super cheesy, as we all have. But you got to admit, when Peter Gabriel does it, it's fucking cool. I mean, come on, man. I don't think I'd ever do it as good as David Rhodes does it or anything, but I'd sure give it a try. Can't you picture me up there? Oh, Larry doing the, you know, they do this move where they go like this. You know, I could do that. Don't picture that. Okay, that's it for today, I suppose. More than anything, I wanted you to have a good Christmas. You know, please. Try to get over whatever's bugging you. Have a good Christmas. It's all about the kids. It's not about you. Okay? Find some kids, make them happy. That's what it's all about. Okay? Peace out, people. Have a great Christmas. Bye-bye.